Hey guys, how's it going? So, the most recent balance patch just came out, and I think it's one of the worst balance patches that have ever come out. If you look on Reddit or Stove, they're up in flames about it and pretty unhappy. And I normally don't take their opinions too seriously on everything, but I'll definitely say that most people I've talked to are also pretty disappointed, just like me. Let's talk about what's in it and why I'm disappointed. So when I saw the units that were here, I was like, okay, that's a pretty good spread of units. There's what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. But I wouldn't really count regular Ricorous when they have the special change, right? And then 2 artifacts, both of which needed changes, so okay. Pretty normal balance patch, seems okay. But let's look at these changes. So, first of all, Faithless Litica. What they did is they moved her CR push from her S2 over to her S3. And also increased it by 5%, because, if you're hitting 4 targets, you would only get 20, right? So, you get 5% more. Okay. And you dispel an additional buff with her S2. Okay, that's nice. And damage dealt increased. So, is this a buff? Yeah. But it doesn't really fix the issue. Litica isn't used not because of not enough buff strips, right? Or she's not getting enough CR push or something. She's not used because her base speed is just too slow. And she's outsped by so many units now. The game has changed from when she was a top dog. And she just doesn't really work that well because she's too slow, right? You're just like Emo, Lilius, Sid, Assassin Sid, Rand, Peyra, like Pavel, so many units just outspeed her by so much that it's just like, you can't really utilize this unit that well. Now, here's the thing. If the damage dealt increase is actually enough, then she could actually be a pretty good cleave unit, possibly, if you build her full damage. She has a lot of utility, she strips buffs, she gives skill null, she pushes the team. So if they actually do something like that, it could be kind of cool, and I'm hoping for that. But I'm not really holding my breath. I think that this is a bit of a lame buff overall. And I'm kind of disappointed because it means they're not going to buff Litica anytime in the near future. It's going to be years maybe before she gets another touch-up. So I'm pretty disappointed in this change, a character that I really like as well. Holiday Eufain. Holiday Eufain's change is kind of nice, right? So she gets damage dealt increased on her S1 to mitigate what they're changing for her S3. They just redistribute the evasion, so I guess it's slightly better, but not really that big of a deal. And now instead of giving herself greater attack, she gives attack buff to the entire team. And, since she loses that damage from the greater attack, they made it so she did a little more damage than this. That's nice, but not really anything too crazy, right? The increased attack to the whole team, that's a really nice support move. I actually like that. I wish she had this for a long time. I think she's more difficult to use right now than, she was before. And I'm not really sure if she's going to see all that much use. Is she better? Oh yeah, definitely. But she still is going to have a lot of trouble, I think. I do think that she might be an okay anti-cleave unit in some situations, for sure. But I'm not going to say that she's going to be used all the time, right? She's still such a niche unit, and this attack buff to the whole team, I don't know if that really pushes her over the edge to being used more often than the small niche she was already in, really. Irvalen. So here's where things get really weird. So a lot of characters have been buffed, and a lot of people will be up in arms saying that the character was nerfed, or they don't like their changes, or other stuff like that. Like, when ML Ken was changed, everyone was saying, oh, he's nerfed, even though I would say overall it's a buff, right? Irvalen's change here is quite possibly one of the most perplexing changes I've ever seen in the game, where they completely remade an entire character, and I would say changed their whole role entirely. And this is basically just a straight up nerf, honestly. Like, I'm actually blown away by this. So, effect chance increased to 100% with Soul Burn. They moved it from his S3. So now his S2 is completely different and only works against elite or boss monsters. So Banshee, right? And gives you an extra turn. And increase the cooldown. And decrease the damage. Like, okay, it's a completely different ability now. You can't use him in PvP anymore, ever again. And his S3 Oh yeah, he also gets a attack buff from his S2. And his S3 now doesn't give counterattack, it gives speed buff. Which, that's just a worse buff. Like, it's just way worse. It's not even close, actually. And they remove a soul burn that's better to put it on his S1. And they decrease the damage of his S3. So, if you're not using him against Banshee, he's not a character, ever. Is he going to be a good Banshee one-shotter? Yeah, now you don't have to have Biken, that's great. But, like, anyone who liked Irvalen, so all 10 Irvalen fans are now pissed, right? Like, I know a lot of people don't like this character. I don't like this character even, but this is just a straight up nerf. Like, it's kind of insane. I mean, I hate Hua Young. Why don't they buff Hua Young and make it so that she's really good at killing Golem one-shot? How about that? How about she does extra damage to elite boss monsters, not other characters? How about that, right? Can they just buff every single unit to that's broken to do this, right? I mean, I don't know. Are they even going to give a recall or anything like that? Probably some sort of recall, but probably not a selector, right? I think this is just a really crazy change, and it just feels like they act as though it's nothing, which is pretty serious, right? Senya's change. Now, this is the one change that I think is actually kind of nice and kind of cool, right? So, they changed this, which you could call that a buff or a nerf, right? She doesn't give the random buff. Sometimes it was amazing, sometimes it was terrible, right? Instead, she's consistently giving a barrier to the entire team and speed buff to herself, which is pretty nice, I would say. I think that's good. Obviously, that's bad versus DJ Basar and versus Operator Sigrid, but, you know, kind of nice. This, though, is great. The fact that her S3 now can provoke people, that's amazing. So, I mean, I have greater attack on mine, right? When I use the exclusive equipment. And they even buff that, right? So it's 3 turns of counterattack, greater attack, and you provoke on the first turn. That's pretty amazing. That's like really good. If they don't have immunity or a way to cleanse, I feel like that can just end the match right there, honestly. Senya's going to do so much damage to their team with her passive and her counterattacks that's pretty serious. I think this buff to her is actually really nice. I don't know how much more play we'll see her in, but I've been using her kind of as an anti-cleave character anyways recently. I'm not sure if this is going to suddenly expand her uses because there's a lot of characters that still counter her, but it definitely improves her, makes her a better character overall. And I'll be trying her out some. Great Chief Kiwana. Okay, she's a little bit better at Katie's faster rather than having to do the 5 times, it's 3 times. Is that really necessary? Was that an entire buff that was required? Ricorous. So Captain Ricorous, they changed heavily. I'm not going to talk about literally every single thing. They got rid of this word salad over here, this 200-word essay, and they made it pretty simple, right? But the gist of it is they made him not defensive and more offensive, and they even explained here the entire purpose is to use him in Katie's. So they turned him into a Katie's unit. I saw a few comments of people saying that they're really upset about that, and that now he's just relegated to Katie's. So kind of similar to Irvalen in some ways, where they just changed really heavily how the character works, right? I don't think many people are really hoping for a Ricorous buff, but you know, this is kind of off the wall, right? It's a really strange change they made. Yuna Young, she's like a very mini MO Cleric, I guess. But is anyone going to use her? She's a 3-star, doesn't have the best stats. Is she really going to be used? Kind of needs a special change anyways, right? This is not really much of a buff. Arrowwell. Arrowwell actually got a change. Her skill Escort now gives Escort. Oh, right here. Okay. I guess that's cool. But I feel like Eden kind of just does the same thing better, you know? I don't really think Arrowwell has much place in the game. If she gets a special change, then hey, yeah, she could be great, but not really much, right? So another 3-star that gets a change. Now we get to the artifacts. So Alensinox's Wrath, I think this is a nice change. Just gives 15% crit chance, and then after activating the extra attack, gets combat readiness 10 to 20%. But after looking into it, there's not many characters that would want to use it. In fact, Alencia is probably the only one that would want to use this, which is a little bit disappointing. It's very specific, and I kind of think Draco Plate's a little bit better most of the time. I might try this artifact out, but I'm not super impressed with its usability, since not too many characters can actually utilize it, right? This is ridiculous. The change to double-edged Crescent. I don't know who was asking for this change. I don't think anybody wants this. This is just more RNG crapshoot. Increase evasion by 20% after successfully evading has a 15 to 30% chance to counterattack. So I guess you put this on Remnant Violet or Specimen Says, and now they might counterattack. I know people always ask for a Remnant Violet buff, right? And I guess this is it, right? I guess you put this on him, and that's actually pretty great, versus like Belian and other stuff like that. He's gonna pop off really hard. I mean, he still has to evade, right? And he never does that, but, you know, right? I think this is kind of just gross. Like, I don't want to deal with this, right? Who wants to fight against that? It is definitely a buff, though. I'll definitely say, and now it has more usability. It was a terrible artifact before. They really targeted Irvalen and his artifact and changed both of them completely, which is interesting. So, that's it. That's the entire buff patch. Who are the winners? I mean, I guess Flitika's a little bit better. She can, you know, choose to S2 or S3, depending on how she wants to go about it. Yes. I don't know. A little bit of a shame, right? Not really anything too special. Haughty Eufain, yeah, she's a little bit better, but does it really make her usable in way more scenarios? I don't know. Maybe a little bit. Irvalen's a totally different character, and I know some people are very unhappy about that. I think it's kind of crazy they did that. Imagine they did that to your favorite character. I think a lot of people would be really pissed if it happened to, like, I don't know, let's say Luna or something, right? Or Hua Young. It'd be like, you just changed the character completely. How could you do that? Senya got a nice change, I think. She still has the same counters, but she's just a better character overall. And then these characters didn't really get anything. So this balance patch basically made a really annoying artifact. Senya gets a little change, and then Irvalen gets dumpstered. He just gets put into the Banshee mines forever, and everyone else gets kind of nothing overall. So I think this balance patch is one of the most disappointing I've ever seen. I think the entire point of why it's disappointing is because this balance patch falls in the direct center of the World Cup for Epic 7. So I think they wanted to make it kind of disappointing, so that it wouldn't change the meta too much. But if they were going to do that, I mean, at that point, you may as well just delay it and give us a better one, you know? It just seems really disappointing, and I don't think anyone's super happy about this. I mean, they might get little touch-ups in their favorite character, but you have to remember, if your character gets a little buff, and it doesn't help them that much, they're not going to get a buff for a long time. Like, Flitika's not going to get a buff for probably years at this point, right? So it's just really disappointing to see a character that you like get such a small thing. Like Haughty Eufain too. It buffed her multiple times. Is this going to put her over the edge? I don't know about that. So I guess we'll have to see. But I think as a whole, this is a really underwhelming buff patch. And I mean, let's hope the next one's going to be better, right? Oof. This is not what I was looking for. At least we've been getting some cool new units. There's the Charlotte leaks are out for her entire skill set, and she seems like a fun, interesting character. Vivian and Sharoon have been kind of fun and interesting to play with as well. And I mean, hey, we got the crazy leak of Full Metal Alchemist collab, right? With Edward, Roy, and Riza. So, hey, I guess we have some stuff to look forward to right now, right? Anyways, that'll be all for now. If you liked the video, make sure to leave a like or subscribe to the channel, and thanks a bunch for watching. I really appreciate it. Hope to see you guys next time.